I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker this morning. He'll be speaking with you on protecting your online reputation. I had the pleasure of meeting Chris at the NISAR meetings last fall. Chris, evangelist, Inman News. Chris joined Inman News in June 2011 as chief evangelist. When you meet Chris, there is one word that comes often to mind: passion. His love of technology and social media and his desire to help real estate agents of all levels succeed with today's tech-savvy consumer led him to create the Tech Savvy Agent website. Chris's background includes working for the largest internet lead generation company in the country and then spending time working with an international search engine optimization firm whose clients include Facebook and Pepsi. Previously, Chris worked as an internet marketing and social media consultant for Move, Inc., a publicly traded company that owns and operates Realtor.com and Top Producer Systems. The combination of his technology, social media knowledge, and the industry insight provided by Move has made Chris a sought-after speaker and coach who is now as an innovator within real estate industry. Chris is married to Ann Smith, and they have 2 young children, Lucas and Maya. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, thank you. Thanks so much. That was nice. Thank you. How's it go? Is it working? All the way in the back there? You guys good? Yeah. Cool. So I'm also the least influential person in my own home, on top of the other things she mentioned. And was anybody at the breakfast table that I was supposed to be at? Okay, I want to apologize. So I did wake up a bit late. I'm going to blame Apple's update. But so online reputation, this is usually the question that I get everyone to raise their hand on. How many of you guys have a good offline reputation? If you don't raise your hand, it's like leave, right? I mean, so one of the challenges is kind of how do we take some of the great things we're doing with our clients offline, they love us, how do we get them to say it where people actually look? That's going to be the goal today. And then also, I'm convinced that of all the things you guys will learn today with Facebook and blogging and WordPress and all these great kind of technologies, I really feel like the industry is moving towards reputation and reviews as the primary way to find an agent. So putting that out there, and we'll talk a little bit about why. So your online reputation, what happens on Facebook stays on Facebook. We'll cover Facebook very briefly. Heather Elias is doing a great Facebook ads session, I believe right after this session, so that's gonna be great. But there was a video, did anybody see the video called The Social Media Revolution? Where it showed like, Ellen has more Twitter followers than Ireland has people. Have you guys seen this? So it just shows the growth, like radio took 40 years to get 100 million people. Social media took like 40 days, right? I mean, it's really that explosive. So Nielsen put out numbers, and this was back in 2007, so 4 years ago, 78% of consumers said they would trust a peer recommendation. And when you think about real estate, how many people, most of their business comes from referrals or recommendations from other people? Now, how many of you guys feel like you're getting a ton of online recommendations or referrals? Just so see the disconnect there between the hands? So just think about that. So 07, 78%. 14% of consumers at the same time said, we trust advertising. So hopefully the takeaway with this class, I want you guys to all ask yourselves, when I promote my business online, am I advertising my homes? Am I advertising my business? Or am I getting other people to market it and advertise it for me, okay? And it's really pretty easy to do with these cool sites out there, LinkedIn and Yelp, and I'll get into a few of the other ones. But the bottom line would be if 78% of people trusted one type of marketing and only 14 trusted the other, your best sales force is not some people that work for you. Does that make sense? Your best sales force doesn't work for you. If anybody's on Twitter, that's a decent one there. The next one would be, we looked at the stats again 2 years later, 2009, it's up to 90% of people now trusting their peers. So why do you guys think, if somebody had to guess, why is everybody kind of now even more so trusting what their peers say? And think about social media when you think about that. Has anybody here gone onto Facebook and said, we're thinking about going to a movie, what should we see? Has anybody done that? Or like, hey, we're thinking about going to see this concert, we're thinking about eating at this restaurant. If you don't think that people are saying we're thinking about buying a home, does anybody know a good realtor? I mean, that happens a lot on Facebook. But the reason I think that that number jumped is we're now conditioned. Like, I know a lot of you guys search Google when you have a question, and that's what most people do. I actually go to Twitter when I have a question, if it's real techie. Or if I just have, like yesterday, I thought, I didn't have it, but I thought I had pink eye, okay? So instead of going to WebMD or the doctor, where do I go? Facebook, of course, right? I think I have pink eye. 50 comments later, I'm loving it, right? Then half the comments were, you're on the wrong website. You need to be on WebMD. So anyway, but that's just kind of what's happening. Like, we're getting conditioned to just kind of do that, right? It's kind of fun to get recommendations from the people that you know and trust. Makes a lot of sense. So looking at those numbers and then looking at other industries, and this for me is a big one. If we look at a couple of the ones where I think it's critical, is everybody here familiar with iTunes? How to watch a movie? Netflix, they're kind of, people are mad at them right now, but they're another good example. You guys all have Netflix, or most of you guys? So think about Netflix. You can stream a movie without paying, basically, just pay the membership at any time. So I consider when I watch a Netflix like instant option, I consider that to be a free purchase. I don't have to charge my card $2 to watch the movie. But I still won't start the movie without reading at least 4 or 5 reviews below the movie, right? And if the movie gets 2 stars or maybe even 3 stars, I won't even start the movie, okay? Think about like a doctor, or a dentist, or a restaurant. You're gonna go to Google, Chinese food reviews, go. Keep an eye on the Apple stuff with Siri. Are you guys hearing about this new SIRI? So one of the things that it does, when you search for a business, it doesn't just give you the results like a Google search result. It gives you kind of the businesses based on their Yelp rating. I think there's someone here from Yelp today, so I'm excited to hear them talk. So if I were to go to my iPhone and say, find me a realtor, it'll bring a list in, but it's gonna sort it by Yelp reviews. So that's kind of important to be a part of that. The other thing I wanted to talk about briefly is why we're at the point that we're at. Has anyone ever bought a book on Amazon? Any of you guys? Would you agree that it's the same concept, that you look at the reviews? I mean, you just read them. And then eBay, I mean, you won't order anything from eBay unless the seller is like 99.2% trustworthy, okay? So a couple takeaways with these sites. Number one, this is the largest e-commerce website in the whole world, okay? More people put their credit card and spend money through that.com than any other website in the world. So they proved that if you'll get all this kind of user-generated trust, you'll be fine. Amazon, the reason I bring that one up, if you were to go in and let's just think of a book that a lot of people, love, right? Let's use the Bible, actually. That'll be a good one. If you were to go to the Amazon bookstore and look at the Bible, you think there's some 1-star reviews? I mean, 2-star. So even though, you may end up, does anybody here have a client that doesn't like them? Just saying, right? Anybody? So do you think there's somebody out there that at the end of the transaction is gonna Yelp you? They're gonna Zillow you, okay? So when that happens, it's okay. 20 people hated my favorite book. This is the review of Gary Vaynerchuk's Crush It, which is a cool book. A bunch of people loved it. Certainly some people hated it. One of the cool things that Amazon put out was kind of the data. The books that have this perfect 5-star, 100 out of 100 5-star ratings, those books get downloaded less often than the books that have like a 4.5 or a 4, because then you just don't even believe anybody's perfect, okay? So what I'm gonna get at is there's some scary things happening on the web. Most of you probably haven't even seen. You're on sites that you don't know exist. You're there with ratings just like Amazon, and it gets real scary when you get there and there's one review only and it's terrible. So you're 1 star. But what happens when you get 8 clients to go to that site and give you a good one? Now all of a sudden you're in the range of kind of what people would expect. So keep that in mind. And then the Facebook stuff, I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but I look at online reputation 2 ways. That's no problem at all. That was my alarm going off, probably from this morning. I look at two sites. I mean, it's the two sites where everybody's at on the web, Facebook and Google. So Facebook's going to be important, and then of course people searching Google. And we're going to start with Google. By the way, does anybody think this is kind of cool? This little way this thing kind of works and dives through letters and stuff. Anybody want to just know how to build one of those? So it's a site called Prezi, Prezi.com. Prezi, Prezi.com. And I like to think that it, is a really nice option for a listing presentation. And you'd be amazed that it's really easy to build these. So just have this big blank white screen. You just start pasting things on it, and then you tell it how to drive around. So check that out if you're interested, Prezi.com. But the site that we're going to start on is Google, because most of you are going to probably argue and say, my clients have never heard of the sites that you're talking about, Chris. They don't know about Angie's List. They don't know about Incredible Agents. They've never heard of Home Thinking. And I completely agree with you, okay? What they do know is this site. They know that Google gives them answers instantly that are really good. So if I go in and put in real estate agent, okay? Now, one of the best things about this search, if you go down to real estate agent salary, it's a blank screen. Have you guys ever seen that? There's just nothing there. It's the only page in Google, no result. But a lot of people want to know, like, how much would I get paid if I got into real estate, right? I mean, that's what I think people are searching. But if we put in real estate agent and then we put in kind of R, you can see resume, reviews, referrals, rankings. You guys see that? So Google knows where I want to get to. I want to get to the reviews or the rankings even before I finish what I'm typing. So I'm going to do a quick search here for real estate agent reviews, and it's going to bring up a bunch of options. And this is even live, kind of eye-opening for me. Has anyone here seen the commercial for Angie's List recently? Yes. How many of you have gone there and filled out your profile completely? That's the problem. We see these things happening, but we don't participate and engage in them, right? If there's a nationally televised commercial saying, come here to look for professionals and see if they're trustworthy, and you work in an industry where is there some trust issues? Right? The Harris polls and stuff, there is this perception that you can't trust agents sometimes. Well, Angie's List, and I'm going to argue this is completely through their campaign on television, they're now the #1 result. 6 months ago, guess what I wasn't even talking about? Exactly. So you have to stay up on this stuff, and I'm going to give you guys some kind of good tools that'll bring these new things to you. Instead of you having to come to these seminars every year and learn the new ones, it'll bring them to you every time there's a new one. So if you look at this list and we kind of go, okay, well, if this is what people see when they Google, I need to at least be on these sites. Does that make sense? At least make sure I'm set up on these. Angie's List, got to be there. RateMyAgent.com, Zillow.com. You guys are all now apparently like mini Zillows. I just saw that this morning, right? You guys all have your own kind of here's what your home's worth, kind of put their address in. Zillow, when they added real estate ratings, they didn't expect it to do what it did. And it is just absolutely getting flooded with consumer feedback. And there's some stats on that the Zillow gentleman will share later, but it's really interesting. Here's another thing with online rep. Notice the map, you guys. See the big map? And then see how, even though we had a couple of results at the top, see how it stopped really quickly? And it put in what's called Google Places, okay? So if you're taking notes, here's another one. Google.com/places. If you've never gone there, added your business, filled it out, put the link to your site, then you're not gonna pop in right here, okay? It's actually one of the best ways to get to the top of the search engines. Google.com/places is the yellow pages of the internet now, okay? So that's what people find. The other thing is within all of these different kind of bullets, you can also get reviewed through Google Places. So here's what would be interesting here. You have Prudential and you have High Street Housing and Exit Realty, all these different sites. And also just notice, I don't know where these are pulling in from. Is this near us? Are we near here? Okay, so I didn't like say that I wanted real estate agent reviews from here, did I? How did it know that? It just kind of knows, right? The computer came with me in the car this morning. It is a little bit scary. How many people are already like weirded out? Like, what the heck? Yeah. Okay. So, but here's the key. You need to be right there. Google.com/places. Get in there. Get some reviews. The reason I pulled that up, if you had 6 reviews in there and they were 4 or 5-star ratings, of those A through G, there would be a subcategory that would say 5 stars, 6 reviews. And when you have 8 choices and 1 with reviews, you naturally kind of go to where the stars are at. Here's another one, homethinking.com, reachfactor.com, and then I'm going to stop at incredibleagents.com, and I'm going to cover that one more in depth than the others. But I do kind of sympathize with the fact that that's a lot of different review sites. Would you guys all agree? Have we even got into Yelp yet? Have we even got into LinkedIn recommendations yet? So there's a bunch of places to kind of get the reviews, rate your broker. Good news is they went out of business. So we're done with that. Actually, the website's for sale if you want to get in the review business. But I wanted to go into incredibleagents.com. And before I get too far into that, I'm going to give you guys a really cool resource here called compete.com, okay? So why am I showing compete.com? This is a site that will basically tell you how much traffic approximately, right? It's not perfect, but approximately how much traffic to all those sites I just talked about actually get. Does that make sense? How many people really go there? Because if I'm going to have to ask people to go here, 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 and here, I want them to go to the ones that get the most people. So if I just paste in any site, you guys see that? By the way, I could put your sites in here. You guys know that? Their little slogan, it says, know where you stand. It used to say, keep your enemies close, because then you can kind of see what their traffic looks like. So if you hit go, it brings in this, these analytics. It looks like they've done a nice upgrade too. And it's showing you all the different kind of trends with the searches. But the cool thing, and the most important thing, would be unique visitors. This looks like it's a 30-day sample. About 60,000 unique visitors came into the website in the last 30 days. So people are certainly coming here. So if you were to put a site in and it said, you know, that 18 people had been on that site in the last 30 days, probably not worth filling out. So keep that in mind. The other thing that we noticed, and this is kind of going back a bit, I wish I could take the chart. Let's see. Yeah, it's not going to let me take it back. But one of the things that we notice, are a lot of you dealing with first-time buyers? Anybody? And how old are they? 30s. The average age is 30 across the board. They're even more conditioned. We call them digital natives. A lot of times we also call agents more of like a digital immigrant, right? It's like you weren't born into technology, you moved into it, and it's harder to speak English if you're not born here, right? I think it's the same concept. And that's the Realogy CEO that I heard use that analogy. He's a pretty sharp guy. So the thing with these sites and kind of everybody looking at this technology, this little dip, see how it can dip down in traffic? When the tax credit ended last year, overnight, this site lost 30,000 visitors a month. So why is that? Because the first-time buyer stopped looking. But remember, how did everybody find this site? Googling real estate agent reviews. So it's almost data proving that the younger consumer, the 30-year-old, is going to be the one driving this kind of new generation of ratings. So I thought that was interesting. There's another site, very, very comparable. Same thing, incredible agents. This is called QuantCast. And again, it gives you some of that really cool data. There's like different data with each site, kind of geeky, but I think it's really good resources. So that would be kind of Google, Google Places, incredible agents, Angie's List. That's a huge takeaway for me, like live from the stage. Get on that site and get some reviews there. But now we're going to get a little bit deeper. So we're going to go in, and I actually want to look for a real estate agent in New Jersey. Is anyone here from New Jersey? Formerly? Your licenses are all here, yes? Okay. Can you imagine this goes bad sometimes in front of a big crowd? It's like the #1 result, basically. Let's see. Hopefully it'll let me put in NJ. Go. All right, cool. So it's going to pull in. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So we talked before about like the books and the movies and the MP3s having ratings. So do agents, okay? Notice how it's literally a scoring system. You have to participate. Now, here's where people kind of go, what? Every person in the room with a license right now is on this site. You guys realize that? You don't add yourself to this site. This is not opt-in. You're a member of an association. They scrub these lists of the members, and they upload them. So if we go into Elisa's profile, the reason I use Elisa, in the last 12 months, just from this as a lead source, 9 closings that she's been able to track. People finding her through here, reading these reviews, and then going, hey, we found you on this site, da-da-da. So I'm gonna go into her kind of bio, and I wanna show you kind of how the game works because you have to be a part of it. So it pulls in this really nice bio. It's got all the different links. So this is another thing that doesn't happen a lot. People set up these profiles, but they don't fill it in all the way, okay? Part of your online reputation, this is like a simple note to take, is if your profiles are completed. Have you ever seen like the shadow guy when it's supposed to be a person? Actually, really quickly, just to embarrass myself for 1 second. This is my dad on Facebook, I swear, I'm not lying. This is my dad on Facebook. No, wait, that's him. He only did 1 status update ever, and he thought he was writing it on my wall, so he's like, your new truck looks great. And he like sent that out to all his friends. So that's my dad. So that is actually what a lot of real estate agents' profiles look like on these sites because they haven't gone there and upload. They don't pull your picture from the directory. They just scrub your name and email and phone number and kind of the text data. So Elisa's got this great page here. And I'll just read the first one. I had a wonderful experience selling with Elisa. She was very attentive, always easy to reach via phone and email. She went above and beyond, spending extra time helping me get my home in selling condition. I would use her again in the future as she is a true friend. You guys see these? Do you think that this helps people generate more business? I mean, this is huge. The key is that I don't know those people, so I believe it. If I were to go to Elisa's website or your website, do you think that there would be any negative reviews there? You would never do that to yourself. So we don't believe what you say about you. We believe what they say about you. This is what 90% of people believe. What's on your website is what 14% of people believe, okay? So keep that in mind, and you really want to expose these things. So, I mean, how did she get these reviews? So how many did she have? Did you guys see? 91 reviews. How many of you guys think that 91 people on their own went to this website and loved Elisa and filled it out? None. What do you think she did? She asked for it. So how many of you already asked for a testimonial? Where do you ask for that? I think that today's the day that you start asking for it somewhere else. Because if they write it on a paper or they email it to you, maybe you could put it on your website, maybe you could take it to your listing presentation. That would be kind of the word of mouth, right? Word of mouth marketing. This can become like world of mouth. This is like, wow, this lady that doesn't know anybody in Jersey kind of socially as far as like one of her clients, they can impact the buying decision of a future client through a website like this. It's a big deal. The other thing for the scoring, you guys, just so you know how those points and you kind of saw she was number 1 and who was number 2. There is very much an urgency to get in the game on this stuff because of that scoring and the total volume of reviews playing a big deal. So she's got almost a double-digit lead on John. But where you don't want to be is you don't want to be on like page 17 because I just don't think people are going to click through to find the most mediocre person on the list, right? It's just not how the world works. So that's one. I'm not going to pull up a negative review of a real estate agent, but they're in here and they're ugly. Yes, ma'am.
Can you create a link on your website to Incredible Agents?
Absolutely, and that's where I'm heading with all of this. The beauty of putting all these things out there on these other sites, we kind of call those the spokes. They're the spokes, and your site's kind of the hub. There's badges. You guys know what a badge is? You gotta put a badge on your website. So you could have a little badge that says Incredible Agents, Zillow ratings, Angie's List ratings. You want to bring that to the client. A lot of people say, well, I got them on my website. I wouldn't want to have them click something that takes them away. They're going to do that anyway. You want to control the path that they go on. If I click through to Elisa's profile from her website, it's not very hard to get back to her stuff, right? Because all those links are right there. So Incredible Agents is a great one. Here's the other thing that is pretty eye-opening. Do you think anybody here ever Googles you? Does anybody ever Google themselves? Isn't that kind of weird to say? It's kind of fun to say. Google yourself. It's kind of early for that joke, maybe. That one does better after a drink. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to Google Elisa. We'll just pretend, you know, I'm looking her up. So Elisa DeWeese, I believe it was. Boom. And let's look at the results because it's interesting. So her website ranks first, but then look at all these other, you know, places she's actively building these profiles on. Zillow number 2. How many of you guys have never actually gone onto Zillow and filled out your profile completely? Be honest, so everyone can see. I mean, that's a big one, you guys. I mean, it's the second biggest site in the country. People are going there to look for reviews. You at least got to get the profile. You know, Active Rain. I'm not huge on Active Rain, but Active Rain has a lot of Google juice, what they call it, okay? So that one's ranking really well. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Trulia, and then of course there's the Incredible Agents, right? So that little directory that she's participating in is placed on the first page of Google. If you do have anything negative on the internet about you, and you don't have to raise your hand on that one, okay? If you're like the Anthony Weiner of real estate or something, okay? I'll get you guys to laugh a few times. If that's the boat that you're in, then you need to go into these other sites and it'll push that stuff down, you guys, okay? Like Facebook's more powerful than some jerk that wrote a blog about you, okay? So Facebook page, Zillow, Twitter, LinkedIn, your online reputation really is what happens when people go to this screen, okay? So the ratings, the reviews, the Twitters, etc., all good stuff. So here's a good tool to keep up with this because God forbid you have to Google yourself every day. That wouldn't be fun. And then also if there's a new real estate agent ratings site like Angie's List, would have been nice to have gotten an email about that like 3 years ago, right? Wouldn't it have been nice to go back like 5 years, be the first person on Incredible Agents, really? So, and actually I wanted to do one more thing with Incredible Agents because I want you guys to realize that if you do take action on this, if this is an action item on your notes and you go back and do it, we did this exact class, not exact class, but this topic in Chicago, and this was in December, and the 2 young ladies that were at the class that went back and were like bought in, that this is kind of the way the future's gonna work. They're in Chicago, which is a super, super tough market. There's a lot of people. Notice the top score here. It's not quite as high as the score was before, but look who's right there at the top. These are 2 of my kind of friends, if you will, Lauren and Kelly. I mean, they only have like 5 and 9 reviews, and they've both gotten 3 buyer leads through here. That was in December. They told me that at the end of February. So what's happening is the people that are going through these review sites, is anybody already doing like half of this, be honest, and getting clients from it? Yes? And aren't they, like, I think they're smarter is what I'm trying to get at. I think it's actually a better client to have because they've done the homework. Like when I hired the movers that I used, I went to Yelp and I spent 45 minutes there reading. And when I clicked through their website, I was already sold. I just called and said, what time can you guys pick up my stuff, right? So there's a lot of power in these endorsements. But just so you can see, 5 reviews and 9 reviews, they're almost at the top of the list already, and it's generating business. So Google Alerts, google.com/alerts. What you would want to do is you would want to put in your name and you would want to put in quotes. So, you know, this is really where it gets pretty ugly for me personally with the, you know, just absolute common name like Chris Smith. I just can't even use Google Alerts for my name. I'd get inundated every day with all these Chris Smiths on the internet. But if you're Chris Smith that works at Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker, you might want to put that in there. If you're a realtor, Chris Smith, or a real estate agent, Chris Smith, those may be worth putting in. So make sure you have Google Alerts set up for your name. It's really nice. What do you want us to check for you? Well, I want you to check everything. How often? For my name, I want to check it as it happens. I don't want to wait, you know, at the end of the week and get a batch of the negative things that were said. And then volume, I want everything. Where do you want to send it? Boom, create alert. Pretty cool? Easy to do. Now, here's another little strategy with this. if I want to be a part of as many conversations online as possible about real estate in Long Island, okay? Because I think that also is part of this kind of overall online reputation. If I want to be involved in all those conversations, I can do a Google alert for Long Island real estate. You guys see that? Now every day, any blog post, any news article, anything that hits Google's search engines, which is basically everything, it comes right into my inbox. One of the cool strategies with this, is anybody here concerned with their search engine optimization? Is that a, you at least know what it is or have heard of it, something you should really be concerned about. So one of the, and this is like kind of a little higher level, I'll go back down to the slower level in a second, but there's some people that like advanced stuff. If you're getting Google alerts from websites that have your keywords that you're targeting on them, and you click through and you read the article and it's a blog or it's whatever, you can leave comments there, right? So every time you do that, it's a link that points to your website. So by having these Google alerts coming at you and actually clicking on a few and reading them, and not just saying, wow, that was a great article. You can't do that, because if you do that, that doesn't intrigue anyone to click over to your site. But link building is a big part of search engines, and by bringing these links to you that have your keywords, you're gonna actually step up big time, which is cool. Any brokers in the house? Any brokers? Wouldn't it be part of your reputation, every one of your agents? So I'd have a Google alert for all of them, every single one of them, because they might do something online that I'm not real happy about. I would want to know that, sooner rather than later. So that's a pretty cool thing there. And then any other keywords that you think would be relevant would be really, really cool to put in Google Alerts. So that's Google Alerts, great option. Any questions on that? I want to do the questions kind of as we go. Probably have like 50 at this point, but everyone's always afraid to order dessert first. Yes, ma'am.
How does setting it up to email, you're saying it sends you back to your website? How does
Yeah, let me explain it better. So the question is, how does it really work? So you put in the keywords and then you would hit create alert. And now based on the frequency, so if you told it daily, weekly, you might not want to get the Long Island real estate stuff every day. Maybe once a week you get a batch, you spend an hour and you do it, right? It doesn't have to be daily and it's bothering you and it's keeping you from being on the phones or whatever. So once you hit create alert, your email account will get these emails. So you'll get an email from Google and it'll say, from Google Alerts, and there'll be any of the articles with the links to those articles in the email. Click that, takes you to the article, read it if you want, comment if you want. You don't have to. I would say a lot of my Google alerts, I'm busy, I just delete them, right? Nobody said anything bad, nobody said anything good. By the way, when people say good things, you should also participate. Always focus on the negative, but if people say good things about you on the internet, it's nice to say thank you, like in the next comment. So that's also a great option. So Google Alerts, hopefully you guys got a nice takeaway there. It's really a cool technology. Then, yes, ma'am. In the search engines? Yeah, so when you get the email, there's a link in it. You click it. You're no longer in your email. You're on a website. When you're on that website and you leave a comment, when you leave comments on blogs, they want links to your site. Does that make sense? So when you leave a comment on a blog, you have to put in name, email, website, comment, submit. Every time you put a link, this is weird. Is it sounding different all of a sudden? Yeah. Is it this thing? This thing maybe spun around. No. Okay. he's T-paining me over there. If anybody, like 10 people get that joke in here, sorry. So does it make sense now? So you're on another website, you're putting in your comment, they're gonna ask you for a link in the comment. That link is called link building. So if over the next year you do that once a day, you'd have 365 links pointing to your website. Today you might have 0. Does that make sense? Google loves links. Because if you have your site here, there's like thousands of links linking to it. It's like a spider web. It's really tight, right? But if there's like 4 links, your website might not even be around in a year. That's how Google looks at it, right? They look at numbers. There's no feelings with those guys. So that would be Google Alerts. Yes, ma'am? Yes. This is the technology that I want to build. I mean, yeah, so there, you know, you guys are very familiar with syndication, yes? You put a listing in, boom, it's all over the internet. That is in the pipeline, okay, where you can go to one place, get the review there, and it will push it to Zillow, push it to Incredible. That's in the pipeline. It's not quite out yet. I am going to cover a site in a second called Faceify. 5 minutes? Okay, sure. I'm going to cover a site called Faceify. Maybe I'll just cover it now because your question leads me there quickly. Faceify, F-A-C-E-I-F-I-E-D. It does exactly what you just said almost, okay? So it doesn't, you don't put it there and push it out, but all the ones right now you're getting, it pulls them in. Does that make sense? So it'll take my Zillow, my Yelp, my Google Places, my Angie's List, whatever these review sites are, it'll actually pull it in for you. So you can see it here. I'll show you guys one example. This is a real estate agent. So this, the top few here are from Zillow. But if we go down, there can be reviews. This is like an email review. So it builds the reviews and it gives you that star rating. See that? And now what is really cool about Faceify is once you get those reviews and they're all pulled in and they're right there, they give you what's called a badge, like I mentioned earlier. She said something about how do I get people on my site over to there. This will actually give you a badge that you could put on your website. You could put it in your email signature. One of the places people are having the most luck with putting that little kind of badge is in their Craigslist ads. Craigslist is a little freaky, yes? Okay, so humanize your ads. Put this kind of transparent ratings inside your ads. It's a lot easier than it maybe would sound. It's kind of a 1, 2, 3. So you get your reviews, it pulls them in, and then you broadcast it out. One of the coolest technologies, totally free, no charge for Faceify. Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned appliance right now. Do they have to post them or do you post them for them?
Yeah, there's a lot of fail-safes on these sites. So like Yelp actually, which again, I haven't talked about a lot, just only because the gentleman's here. I mean, it's a huge, huge deal. But Yelp, they vet their reviews big time. Zillow, they verify the person bought or sold a home through you. So not just anybody can do it, but no, you absolutely can't do it. You can't write it on their behalf. You can't copy paste it in. They check the uniqueness of the IP address. If you were to put 5 reviews in a row in on your computer on Zillow, you probably get booted from that whole process, yeah.
So how do they do it?
You're going to email them and say, hey, I hope I did a really good job. Please fill this out. Here's the link. Or I would actually recommend doing it at the closing table. I would have them fill it out on their computer, iPad, iPhone, while we're sitting there at the closing.
What do you do when you have a lot of clients, more elderly who don't?
Yeah, just hold their hand and peck the keys for them. Seriously. I'm kind of joking, but yeah. Yeah. If your demographic is older, you're going to have to explain the process to them a little bit more. Then you're not going to get reviews from them. Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, I'd like to have 9 for 1 bad. So if I had 10, I'd like to have 9 good. Yeah. And the other thing I always like to say is people aren't out there looking for like a lack of negative reviews. They're looking for positive things that people have said. So they may see this one, jerk. And a lot of these sites, you can respond, by the way. One of the things people love about Faceify, once you pull them in, you control it now. So you can, if somebody's just out of line, you can edit it. If somebody's replied and you want to reply, you can reply. Some of the other sites don't allow that. Yes, sir? I can't see, but sorry.
Yeah, it's difficult enough to get clients to write positive reviews. If you do something bad, people write that out within a second.
Yeah, just like eating out. Yep.
If you do something good, you ask for reviews, it takes a while to get them. So you might get them to write 1 review, but you're not
Yeah.
going to go to all these places.
I wouldn't ask them to go to more than 1.
So if you had a choice, okay, you had 1 place for that right
Yeah.
where would you go?
Everywhere. You can't go to 1 place right now. You have to be on multiple sites. I would try to get 5 reviews from 5 different people on at least 5 of the sites that I mentioned today. So LinkedIn, Yelp, Google Places, Angie's List, Zillow, those are sites that I try to have 5 each, 5 unique. I would never ask anyone to review me on more than 1 site. And once, actually Move Inc., Realtor.com, they're building that little like syndicator deal that'll push them to all the sites. So just keep an eye on that. Then you can take them one place, boom. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you can, but here's the problem with that. There's a link to the original review in their review. So if you were to just change it and make it good and they click to verify it on Zillow, it would look real bad. It would look like you edited it. But there are times where it is out of line what people say online. So you can kind of control that. I think we've started the Q&A. Is that okay? Yeah? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Here's the mic. Her question was, what happens if you edit it? And if you edit it, they don't get rid of the original link back to the original source of the review. So you still kind of get caught. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Can you give any advice if anybody's just starting out about getting these reviews?
Say it again.
Can you give any advice how to start if you're just new to this?
If you have no business?
You just started your business.
You don't have like past clients, stuff like that?
Right.
Yeah, I would reach out to other service professionals that you've worked with. You know, LinkedIn is a great place to start. If you don't have a lot of real estate clients, LinkedIn, you can get a recommendation from anybody. So maybe start off on LinkedIn and get more just kind of recommendations of people you worked with in the past. Your mom's usually a good one. You know, kidding. But yeah, you can get recommendations on LinkedIn. You can get a badge from them, put it up there loud and proud. Another good best practice here, you guys, if I'm on Yelp or LinkedIn or Zillow, you guys can screen capture these reviews from those sites. So just keep that in mind. You can just grab the screen from the Zillow review and bring that over onto your site as something, right? That's a little tool called Jing, which is really neat. I wanted to show one more thing. Can I show one more thing? And I have a session, someone could help me out on this one. I'm not sure exactly the time. I'm doing a class on mobile that I'll love you guys to be at. It's later this afternoon after lunch. And it really, really is exciting, iPad. Anybody like the class, this one so far? Good? Okay, cool. So if you guys are interested, I'll be back. I have a booth somewhere out there that I'll be at as well. It's the Inman News booth. So please stop by and I'll cover more of what I do for a living in the mobile session. Yes, ma'am.
I saw something recently that indicated that real estate companies are now rating other agents.
Yes, that was Redfin. That
Okay.
didn't go real good.
Well, I wanted you to say it. I didn't want to say it
Yeah.
because I didn't want to point out any companies.
I'm kind of neutral. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, Redfin opened it up. Not so much that agents would rate each other, but they were opening up your actual transaction history, days on the market, and it was just real inaccurate. It was just hard because they're taking feeds. But yeah, other agents giving you good reviews, I think is powerful too. Because you guys probably know who's the agent that I want to call and who's the one that I don't. But yeah, 5 minutes? Cool. Yeah, let me show you guys a couple last things. One thing I wanted to show you on Realtor.com, they added a new button at the top called Find Realtors, and this is just, it's half funny and it's half depressing. So if I put in Long Island, New York, go, oops. Where's it at there? You guys just don't exist to them, huh? Yeah, what is it, Nassau? Will that work? All right, let's just pretend this is where we're at. This is another thing. They found 19 agents. It gets a little scary. Again, I'm not supposed to use real examples here, but Dennis Wheeler, you know, I mean, the people that look like my dad on Facebook don't get contacted. That's all I'm going to say, okay? So with all these profiles, and this is a pretty darn big site to not have your profile on, you know, Realtor.com. So keep that in mind. And then there's all these other things where they do allow you to kind of put in, you know, do you speak a second language? What is your specialty? Do you have any designations? So do you guys think there might be more than 3 people in that area with a GRI, whatever that stands for? So just keep that in mind. Make sure you fill those things out really completely. Here's one of the things I'm most excited about. This is a technology called social bios. So I want to show you guys how this works. This is free for agents. And what it does is it's going to take my social graph. So it would take my LinkedIn and my Facebook and my Twitter, and I can be on a brokerage site or an agent site, and I want to figure out before I give my name before I give my email or phone number, before I call Ernie, maybe we have some things in common. Commonalities is the goal. So I'm actually going to connect this over to Facebook, connect it, and remember, I'm not actually filling anything out. It's just the Facebook Connect. And now it's going to start finding matches based on my social graph compared to Ernie's. So if somebody went to the same school, if somebody has the same degree, if you have a cousin or an uncle that went to school with their uncle, it digs all this out of your social graph and it lines it up and says, hey, here's some things in common. The argument would be that things that you can find out with one button, in a minute would take you weeks and weeks and months of real life, back and forth to kind of surface some of these things. So I'll let that load in a second. That's a really neat one. The other thing I wanted to leave you guys with is going to be videos, okay? So let's see if there's, maybe this thing will load for me here. I got to get Flash, I guess. There we go. And I wanted to just show one. Video testimonials, this is another kind of good online rep tool. This is really, really powerful. I'm on a site called dreamtown.com/testimonials. And this is just a good resource to check that out. dreamtown.com/testimonials. But I wanted to just play one and see if you guys think this could drive business for you.
We knew every step of the way what the next step was going to be because she was always telling us what to anticipate and what we needed to do next, and also how she could help us do those things. So, if we put a call into her, it was returned the same day without any question, usually within the same hour, actually. She was very prompt and had excellent customer service.
So that's a unique option there as well. At the closing, you have to do it at the closing. There's a couple takeaways with this video. Is it the agent or the client? Client, right? It's not the agent saying, here's how great of a job I did for this lady. It's her saying it. This is also a really cool tip. Be really niche. If you do video testimonials, be really, really niche. She's talking about above and beyond because this is the above and beyond category. But what if I don't care about people that go above and beyond? I want people that save me money. You guys see how that works? So these are all reviews, but they're categorized. How about I want somebody that took me by the hand because I'm a first-time buyer? You guys see how that works? So these are all done with little flip cams. Couple best practices, they need to be short, 30, 45-second max. Use a tripod. Notice how it wasn't shaking? That's always, it's always hard to watch YouTube when the video's doing that. And then also just kind of have them look past the camera, have them look at you, ask them a couple softball questions. Everything I just taught you guys today about online rep and online reviews, basically it's all going to be video in the next 12 to 18 months. So that would be a good way to stay ahead. You guys can see social bios working very, very quickly, but I do recommend you guys checking it out when you have some extra time. My name's Chris. I'm the Chief Evangelist for Inman News, so that's our booth, Inman News. Love to see you guys at the booth or at the mobile session later today. Thank you guys so much.